press on that button to make a motion. And there's a button that says second on there. You can hit that button as well. So we're recording the minutes who makes the motion and who seconds the motion on there. So just I'll prompt you once we get to the item itself.
Thank you. Calling to order the meeting. This is the regular open meeting of the United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors, California Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation, Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 at 9:30 in the morning. We're in the boardroom at the Community Center in Laguna Woods. And the purpose of this meeting, this is notice of meeting and agenda. Purpose of this meeting is to conduct the regular United Mutual Board meeting in accordance with Civil Code 4930 and was hereby noticed in accordance with Civil Code 4920. Calling to order, and Georgiana is not present to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Nancy, would you do that, please? Would all stand to pledge? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Do we have present any media other than our normal televised? Thank you. I would like a motion to approve the agenda as submitted. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Oops, we have a black screen. Okay, thank you. Will someone move the
I move.
second?
Second.
Okay.
Go ahead and push on the button on there.
All right, thank you. And all in favor? Okay, thank you. We need to approve 8 different sets of minutes from meetings held since September. And I guess I should ask if we can do them in a group, or do we need to go through them one by one? Maggie, is this your area of expertise? Can we approve these, move to approve these minutes as a whole? Yes, Paul says yes. Okay. Therefore, I would ask if there are any changes, or can we go ahead with approving the minutes of meetings September 12th, September 29th, October 2, October 10, second one October 10, and 3 on October 26th. Can we move to approve these as submitted? Is there any objection?
I so move.
A second? Thank you. All in favor? These are approved as read, as submitted. Next, we have report of the chair. And I'd like to welcome you all, whether you're here in person or online or watching on TV eventually. This is our first fully constituted new board. We have a couple of people out of town, Tom Tuning and Pearl Lee, but they are with us. And I think Georgiana will be joining us anyway. So we are all very busy with learning our jobs, doing our jobs, both on the board and in the committees. We have a great pool of talent representing many different disciplines and professional backgrounds. And I thank you all for volunteering your time and wanting to be part of this great enterprise of United Mutual. I would note that, of course, we follow Robert's Rules of Order in our meetings. The board meetings will be courteous, compliant, professional. There'll be no debatings, no ding-dongs, as they say. There'll be a fair hearing for all. There will be no ad hominem attacks or personal comments. We'll be respectful, and we will use fact-based statements. Our priorities, as I see them, for this coming year in 2024, of course, it's always to improve communications with the community and among ourselves and with our other residents in the village, with Third and with GRF and with Mutual 50. So to improve those communications, I've recently started a biweekly newsletter, and that goes out by email. If you are a subscriber or have your email on file with us, you'll be getting that. I've tried to cover topics that are of interest or use to everybody. So to avoid the special interest, but just the sort of universal topics that we care about. We're very keen to improve services for our homes and our landscaping. We're keen to work to deliver good value for the money we spend on services, on amenities, on insurance, and all the quality of life, daily life things that we need to keep us happy and to fulfill our expectations of living here in United. And lastly, another priority this year will be to encourage participation of the community in the committees and in the board work, insofar as it's possible. I find that if you participate, you understand. And once you understand, you are sharing in effective governance of our community. And that's extremely important to us all. We cannot have a separation of where boards and committees are heading in one direction and the community wants to go in a different direction. So we're going to be using fact-based research. We're going to be using the input of everybody involved in our community in making decisions and taking directions. So that's kind of my report to you today. And with that, we will go to open forum. Open forum, at this time, members only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this Board of Directors. Board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted to the open forum to 30 minutes total. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people. No audio or video recording by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments. Members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom link or by calling the 669-900-6833 or emailing meeting@vmsinc.org to have your message read during the open forum. And do we have any people wanting to speak?
Yes, we have 4 in-person speakers today. The first person is Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here to give you an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village, which we do on behalf of residents who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. So what is stopping you? Did you hear about the 87-year-old woman recently who suffered a stroke and became uncommunicative? What compounded the problem was that her ability to swallow was also affected. A decision needed to be made about how to feed her. Was artificial nutrition appropriate? Unfortunately, she did not have an advance directive. She had never discussed her wishes with her children, and she lived alone. Excuse me. Her children did not know what direction to take. So have you discussed your wishes with those close to you if a medical emergency should strike? If the answer is no, the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village third televised broadcast on the subject of planning for the inevitable will focus on the reluctance to plan for future. It will be aired on Village Television every Saturday at 12 noon and continue each Saturday during the month of November. So if you want to view the broadcast on your own, on your own schedule, it's also available on the Foundation website, which is foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org, under a special tab that's labeled Planning for the Inevitable. This website section includes the YouTube links for this broadcast and our earlier ones on advanced directives in estate planning. Tune in and hear Dr. Sonia Sagal discuss the reluctance of planning for the inevitable. Dr. Sagal is a board-certified UCI health internist who specializes in the care and treatment of older adults. As she explains, often people have an unrealistic assessment of their own health. They lack the knowledge of how to go about this or lack a trusted individual in their life to designate as a surrogate decision maker. These obstacles to planning can have unfortunate results. For example, causing distress in those having to make those decisions without guidance. So if you have any questions about this topic or the upcoming broadcast, please contact the Foundation at 949-268-2246 or the Foundation at comline.com. And for more information about the Foundation, please go to our website at thefoundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org. And please note that donations can always be made using PayPal on the Foundation website. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next.
Next speaker is Gay Page.
I'd like to thank Director Blackwell for her email on October 24th, suggesting that I extend my comparison of Laguna Woods' budget and business operations from nearby cities to our sister Cortese communities, Rossmore, Walnut Creek, Leisure World Seal Beach, and Leisure World, Arizona. I downloaded plans and budgets from their websites, spoke to their managers, and the Chief Financial Officer at Arizona. They shared information freely, and the findings further support the need for an ad hoc committee to conduct a business operations analysis and forensic financial audit of village management services. In comparing our budget to our sister Cortese developments, I found that from 2016 to 2023, the Laguna Woods budget increased 75%. Rossmore only increased 34%. Seal Beach, 31%. Arizona, 18.5%. Our neighboring cities' increases were similar. Laguna Beach, 10%. Coronado, 11%. Laguna Niguel, 28%. And Newport Beach, 37%. You'll all be getting these handouts. The research indicates that their ability to limit growth of their budgets is due in part to maintaining skeleton in-house staff and contracting out for security, landscaping, and other departmental functions. Speaking of landscaping, I met with Third Mutual President Mark Laws last week. He asked if I could write a scope for landscaping. I'm presenting you with 2 draft scopes today, one for landscape maintenance and another for tree maintenance over 12 feet. I didn't write an RFP because during my investigation, I uncovered an opportunity to have Brightview, the largest landscape management company in the country, conduct a free analysis of our landscaping operations. Once we have the results of that analysis, and we've conducted a resident survey to ensure the standards I outlined in the scopes meet their expectations, we'll have a complete picture of our landscaping needs and be able to update my draft scopes and write a precise RFP to send out for bids. Then we can compare our in-house landscaping budget of $25.7 million to the cost of hiring a landscape management company. This research scope and professional analysis of our landscaping department is exactly the type of work the ad hoc committee will do for this board once it's established. Follow the lead of our sister Cortese communities that regularly use ad hoc committees and tap into the experts we have living here in Laguna Woods. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Vera Holder.
Madam President and board members, over the past month, I put myself in the position of imagining what it would be like to sit in one of those chairs. And none of you are here because one day you woke up and said, gee, I think I'll be a board member. I realize that. No, you're all here because your home is important to you. It's your investment. You care about it. And if you're like the rest of us, you care about your financial future and retirement. Those are the exact reasons why we are asking to be heard as an agenda item about the creation of a resident review committee to conduct a business operations analysis and forensic financial audit of village management services. Believe it or not, we come to you with this request and our offer to do the deep dive not from a place of anger or mistrust. We come from a place of fear. Fear. We're afraid of a crumbling infrastructure. We're afraid of ever increasing fees. We're afraid that we may come to a point of insolvency. And as I stated last month, those of us asking for this review have no premeditation or a desire of a specific outcome. We don't have a hidden agenda. What we're asking for is a review. Where are we? Where are we going? Is the review time-consuming? Yes. Will it require commitment? Yes. Will you have residents working for the greater good? Absolutely. My message actually comes as a plea. Madam President and members, you have the right to create an agenda item. You have the right to create an ad hoc committee. Give us a chance. Allow yourselves the opportunity to see what groundwork has already been done and avoid the been there, done that immediate response. It's a big job. Be as brave as we are to admit we don't know the whole story, and it's time that we be brave enough to find out. In preparation for the December 12th, 2023 meeting, I urge this board to move and formally resolve to create a resident review committee to conduct a business operations analysis and forensic financial audit of village management services. And I will now hand out what Gay Page had mentioned earlier. Each one of you will receive a packet.
Thank you.
If you give it to Paul.
Vera?
All right, other side, here we go.
Okay. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Maxine McIntosh.
Vera, you didn't give your banner number.
My manor number is 787A.
7-8, thank you. Lovely morning for a board meeting. It's beautiful outside, and I look around and nearly all of you are smiling. That's wonderful. I want to thank Chris Collin. She's here at every meeting, all the board meetings, and she brings a lot of words of encouragement and promise to people that need to hear them. I think it's wonderful that she gives so much of her time. I want to ask, I haven't in quite some time, that this board seriously consider having a comprehensive designed survey go out to everyone in United. You know, so I hear so many things come up, and I realize this is based on partial information about what's going on out there. And recently I've been concerned when GRF brought up, I only heard part of the meeting on TV, but they brought up thinking about taking the TV out of the drop-in lounge. And then we heard all kinds of people, you know, well, after all, everybody has a TV at home. No, everybody doesn't have a TV at home. That's a misconception. Everybody has a computer at home? No, not everybody has a computer at home. And some of us, like Maxine, now have a broken one. So all this information can really be important to help us better understand the very people you've dedicated yourself to serving for 3 years or more. I really wish you would design a really good, comprehensive survey that could go out. It would be worth the mailing cost. I remember some years ago, and I'm sorry, maybe 7, maybe 8 years ago, there was a problem in the drop-in lounge over the TV that got apparently pretty upsetting for a lot of people. And it was handled. And I remember at the time thinking maybe we should have rules posted. They posted them for a while. But to immediately remove something from the use of the residents instead of resolving the problem as it is, where it lies, is not helpful. You know, the drop-in lounge is just coffee, tea, TV, a comfortable place to sit, inside or out. That's all it is. It's nothing fancy, loaded with all kinds of equipment. And so I went around a few years ago and made a point of going to the drop-in lounge several times a month for about a year. And I talked to different people who were there, and I just told them I was interested as a member of the community, blah, blah, blah. And I found that one woman that sat on a sofa in front of the face the TV at that time, by herself knitting, said that she had recently lost her husband and that neighbors and family were wonderful, but she wanted to quickly get off and get some time to herself, but not really feel like she was shut out. So she would come and she didn't care what was on TV. She'd sit in front of it and do her knitting. And I heard from other people, oh my gosh, look at my time go. People come in from classes when they're on a break and they like to sit and visit. We usually have somebody working a jigsaw puzzle on the opposite wall of the drop-in lounge. They aren't there because of not wanting the TV there. The TV is part of the minimal list of ambiance that's available there. And I wish that you would get us going with a survey and we'd find out just about the people using the drop-in lounge, among other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. That's it? Okay, thank you. Responses to open forum speakers. Anyone? Ellen?
I don't know how to do this, but I would like to propose a motion. Push. Obvious, I don't know how to do this, but I would like to propose a motion to create a resident ad hoc committee to review the business operational audit and forensic financial audit.
This isn't the time to make
Point
a
of order.
motion.
Okay,
Point of
well then
order.
I'd like
Come
to
under new
open up
business.
discussion.
New business, Ellen.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. Responses, other responses to open forum? Sue?
If I may, Maxine, I know that is a contentious issue about the television in the drop-in lounge. And I do stop into the drop-in lounge, and it's really nice to have people there and to be able to utilize the services. That isn't our direct responsibility, that is GRF, but we serve on those committees. And so we will take that forward to it. To the committee, we certainly will. But it's confusing to residents to know what is United, what is GRF. And I just wanted to make that clear. We'll certainly bring it forward and try to convey your concern. But we don't directly have responsibility for it.
Ellen?
Maxine, I like the idea of a survey. And you said something about mailing out. I think that it would be received by more people
Okay.
than an email.
Okay, you've had your chance. Tony?
Thank you, Madam President. My only comment is I have reservations about a forensic audit. I don't think people here know what a forensic audit is. After 39 years in corporate America, I've been involved in those things. And a forensic audit is spiked when a regular audit discovers some impropriety or something wrong in the regular audit. And it's very costly and very time consuming. So I have my severe reservations about a forensic audit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, anyone else? I'd like to just make sure we're clear about the cost of landscaping. We had this workup done just yesterday in response to false information that it costs $25 million a year for landscaping. It does not. Our total costs for landscaping the entire village, United, Third, GRF, country clubs, etc., is $17 million, and that includes reserves as well as operating budgets for those entities. So please, if there is anyone out there who is perpetrating the wrong number of $25 million a year, that is not correct. And if you need to have the proof from Jose and from Steve Hormuth, you will get it. But that is not the correct number. It is $17 million for 2024. Okay, response? No? No, not right now, Gabe. Please just send me a message about that, but not now. Thank you. Response to past forum speakers? Tony?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, Gay Page, 786C. She's interested in an in-depth analysis of self-management. HOA, she has requested that this be added as an agenda item at the next board meeting. This has been duly noted. Rivera Holder, 787A, was supporting the previous speaker, Gay Page's request for an audit, and that is so noted. Azar Ascari, 935D. A resident Ascari has recently termed out as a director. She wanted to thank the newly elected board members. She also told them to set aside any emotions when making decisions and take it into consideration the needs of the residents. And our response is Ascari's remarks were well taken, and we thank her for her years of service as a United Director. Also, now we have Nikki Polanski of 232A. She related to the board the rain-related flooding that occurs on her outside patio. And our response was the M&C Assistant Director reached out to the correct department to coordinate and get more information. The department subsequently, the General Services Foreman, after visiting the site, determined that the water pooling was due to the alteration tile work in the patio's sidewall was not letting the water drain or get off the patio. Staff then informed the resident of the mutual's policy and position on the alterations, and that she would be responsible for getting a contractor to resolve the situation. Mr. Robert Reyes, 327A, told us of his gratitude for living in this country as well as this community. He wanted to remind us to be kind to each other and to work together. And our response is it's really great to hear such positive views from residents. It makes it worthwhile serving as a director. Elizabeth Romano, 2035A, she asked again about a retaliation issue towards her and asked for the follow-up of this issue. Compliance states that the issue happened years ago and has been resolved, and there's no open cases at this time. Maxine McIntosh, 68C. I have known this lady forever. She is an example to be emulated by all who volunteer to serve as board members. In her own way, she is advising us to remember that VMS is visible and have saved us united a lot of money. Thank you, Maggie. Her observations brings to mind something dear to me, and that is that history is the context for the here and now. Mary Stone, 350C. This is another lady who has served with distinction on many boards and committees for whom I have the utmost respect and admiration. Like Maggie, her commitment and her work keeping meticulous records is uncanny. Served on GRF, VMS, and she was heavily involved with the transition from a private for-profit management company to establishing our own present management company, VMS. Another outstanding example of leadership. That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you. Next report is Director Robledo, the VMS representative united on the VMS board. Good morning, Manny.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll just give a brief update on VMS, in addition to our CEO will provide one as well, but this is from the board's perspective. Things are going well. I think all of the facilities are open and operating, and I think we have expanded the hours of certain facilities to accommodate what our members want. And it is correct that those hours and use of the facilities, the general facilities, are a function of GRF and the Community Activities Committee. And they seem to be responsive, but once they decide what to do, then we staff it and we run it. So VMS is the, I guess, the hands and boots on the ground of all the mutuals. So that's good news. We did get through the budget cycle, so we're ready for the next year. We have a business plan for the next year. In that, we've been holding the line on health insurance costs. So for the second year in a row, health insurance has actually gone down instead of up, and this is from our advisor doing certain things. And the latest thing is to we're exploring taking in the very beginning claims and having it's a foot into self-insurance, where you don't take the risk. The insurance is still covering you, but you're getting some of the benefits of the reduced cost of higher deductibles and that kind of thing, and it's lowering the overall cost. We've had progress on our strategic priorities set by the boards, and we'll have a new opportunity this year for the new boards to weigh in on the strategic priorities. And the recruitments for staffing, we have people leaving and people coming in with 800 employees. It's always a challenge, but we've actually gotten a handle on that. Now, those are all the good news things. Now, we'll address some of the challenges, because we do have challenges. As I said in my previous life, if there were no problems, they wouldn't need me, But one of the challenges you may have read about in the news is fast food minimum wage is going to $20 an hour. And I know it sounds good for those working in fast food, but it really does have an impact on other skilled labor that currently makes $20 an hour, and then they can go and flip burgers for $20 an hour. So it's a new challenge that we haven't seen yet, but we are anticipating it's going to have upward pressure on salaries. But we're going to deal with it. It is what it is, and we'll get through it. The other thing that's a challenge in the budget is the cost of property insurance. The number is around 50% increase because of all the fires, because of all the losses, and all of the carriers leaving California. That's a challenge in the budget. But those were dealt with and anticipated. It's just new challenge for next year for us to look at and handle. And the other thing we're focused on is resident communications and resident follow-up and responsiveness, and the means for them to communicate with the village and know that they're in line or their issue is being handled. We're continuing to focus on that. So some specifics. There was an issue of the trash bins being too tall for some residents, and we're making great progress in that area. Where we've had complaints, the bins have been changed out, but they're continually being changed out, approximately eight bins per month. And this is something that was negotiated with the city. This is not VMS or the village. This is the city, and they've contracted with CR&R. So, but we're in contact with them, and they are changing them out to the lower type bins. Another thing that was on the radar was damage restoration. There was a backlog of the restoration claims for people who have had water damage to a unit caused by their modifications. And we've been working through those claims. Originally, we were 515. It's down to less than 100 now. And we expect all of those for United to be completed by February of 2024. And then the last thing would be the appliance replacement program. We started out with 515 backlog. Now we're down to a backlog of 128. So we're making progress in that area as well. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have for VMS Board.
Anyone? Paul?
We do have one member comment when you're ready for that.
Okay. Sue?
I have a question, and you might not know it at this time, but if you could help us send the information, that would be great. On the appliance replacement, I keep getting requests from individuals throughout the neighborhoods that it isn't the home appliance that I'm receiving the complaints about, it's the laundry rooms. And there seems to be a continual backlog of issues not being resolved there. So I know that is the United, we have to take it to United, but anything that you can do to help us.
It looks like our
VMS.
CEO has a
Yes.
response.
And if you could allow me to respond to that. As you
Yes.
probably know, or many of you know, the decision was made to switch to a more reliable brand of washing and drying machines, and that is the Speed Queen brand. So those appliances have parts readily available, whereas the current brand that is in use does not. We've run into parts issues. So that decision has been made by both mutual boards. So you will see an improvement in that area. Until those are deployed fully throughout the community, we will have to work swiftly to address the problem. So we encourage everyone to report those to resident services as quickly as possible so we can give them the attention they deserve.
Thank you. Mickey?
Yeah, regarding that wash machine, and I got a report recently, one laundry room, 111, the 3 out of 4 wash machines are broken, and resident service reported repeatedly 3 times. I have a number of it. I can give it to you. So is that part of the reason why it's been delayed, or?
The parts issue is generally the reason that the delay occurs.
All right.
But I'll follow up on this one specifically. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Sue?
If I may add to that, 33, laundry room 33 and 34 are experiencing the same problems, and they have repeatedly put that into resident services, and they'd
Thank you.
appreciate your help.
Anything else?
I will say the same thing. Just to be redundant.
Raise your hand,
It is on.
please. Recognize. Thank you,
Thank you,
Nancy. Go
Chair.
ahead.
Apologize. Just to be redundant, I will say the same thing. I had several in Colsex 1 and 2, the machines. The question I have is, are we putting in commercial washing machines, which are far more hardy than residential quality machines? I think that's the fundamental problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Manny. There is one more opening for the VMS board from United, and Manny and Dan Kenny have been serving valiantly, but we do have a third representative from United who can join that board, so if you are interested, please apply for that. And thank you, Manny, for all you've been doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it greatly.
Bye.
Thank you. Paul?
So we have Mary Stone.
Great. Mary?
Good morning. I'm here today as a member of the former transition team, and I'm here to answer the question, why VMS? Why not a professional management company? Well, first of all, VMS saves us at least $700,000 in management fees alone annually. When we want to make things better in our community, we can and do make changes to our policies and procedures. We're not dependent on a management company to treat us like any other far smaller community in their portfolio. Our VMS CEO is selected by the boards, not hired, paid, and controlled by a management company. Our CEO has absolute control over operating procedures subject to the direction of the village boards. Our department heads are now highly qualified professionals who have public administration skills and experience, not just certificates in community management and longevity in a management company. We utilize third-party providers of our choice, not the required outside resources of a management company that gets a kickback. We retain our own accounting and resale document processing in-house. We don't need to migrate them into a management company's sticky systems. VMS serves only us, so if anything needs to be changed, it's up to us to tell our United, Third, and GRF directors. Just remember, there are nation-wide labor shortages and inflation issues. Things are not like they used to be. After hundreds of hours, including all boards, all directors' meetings with attorneys and consultants, VMS was created by us, for us, a nonprofit, mutual benefit corporation that provides the operational services we need. And I'm happy to provide any further information if you want it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Going on next to the CEO report, Siobhan.
Thank you, President Bach. Honorable members of the board. This morning I would like to share a few updates that are current topics in our community. Recently we have received numerous inquiries about how to address mosquitoes in the community. As a reminder, vector control in the village is provided by the Orange County Vector Control District. Recently, Laura Young, the district manager, participated in a This Day interview on TV6. And on the screen before you is the bit.ly link to that interview. Ms. Young covered the following topics. Why are there more mosquitoes this year? Why are the Aedes mosquitoes so hard to control? Why am I getting bitten more? And what can I do? Ms. Young in the Vector Control District offers the following tips for mosquito control. You are encouraged to eliminate breeding sources around the home. Check properties for small sources of standing water and dump it. Scrub outside containers to remove mosquito eggs. And help your neighbor by talking to them about what they can do. Prevent mosquito bites by applying mosquito repellent to exposed skin before going outdoors. And wearing long sleeve shirts and long pants and lighter colored clothing. On the screen before you is the address for ocvector.org. You can get a lot of information from their website, and this is where you can submit service requests for work in the village using the web form at the link shown on the screen before you. We've also received inquiries about coyote activity in the village. The Laguna Beach Police Department's Animal Services Division responds to wildlife situations in the village. To report encounters, you may call Animal Control at 949-497-0701 or email coyotes@lagunabeachcity.net. Recently, Discovering Laguna Woods Village host Cindy Whitney interviewed David Petrella, the Long Beach Animal Services officer assigned to the village, to help increase awareness. The bit.ly link is on the screen before you for this interview. The officer shared information about coyotes, such as insights into coyote behavior, tips for walking with or without a dog, and much more. Specifically, he offered to protect yourself, leave a comfortable distance between you and the coyotes. They will display defensive behavior if threatened or cornered. Increase the distance between you and a coyote if you do encounter one that behaves aggressively. Don't ever feed coyotes or any wild animal. It is illegal in California and prohibited in the village. Eliminate potential food and water sources, such as fallen fruit and standing water. To protect pets, the animal control officer recommends feeding pets indoors, keeping cats and dogs indoors, supervising the pets closely when on walks or on outside patios. Do not use retractable leashes for walking dogs. Consider investing in a coyote vest designed to buy owners time to get away. Pick up animal waste because the scent can attract coyotes, and again, an emphasis on not feeding pets outdoors. At this juncture, I would like to provide an update on recent cost savings initiatives and operational efficiencies. As Director Robledo mentioned, we've found an innovative approach to our 2024 employee health insurance that maintains non-employee union benefit levels, the current insurance company, and physicians at a reasonable cost to the company, despite rising costs in the marketplace. The estimated total savings for 2024 is $300,000 as compared to the budget. United savings will be approximately $50,000.
Fantastic. Wow.
Our communications division is also digitizing docent tours for prospective residents. This will eliminate bus and driver costs for an estimated savings of $14,000 to $22,000 annually, and this will free up more than 270 hours of staff time each year. The division is also encouraging residents to select electronic delivery as the preferred delivery method for the annual mailings that are required to our residents. To date, 1,726 United owners have opted in for electronic delivery for an estimated savings of almost $13,000 annually. Residents may email information@vmsinc.org to indicate their preference. And again, we encourage residents to go electronic if at all possible and help save that mailing and printing costs. Our Community Service Division has recently implemented an escrow notification system. This allows buyers and sellers to track their resale package as it progresses. This was a request received at the May 2023 Real Estate Forum. The system queries seller hourly to determine if a status has changed. If changed, the escrow company, selling and buying agents are notified via email of the following statuses: escrow package received, escrow package processing has started, and when the board has received the package for consideration and approval. Community Services estimates that this will reduce telephone calls and emails to community services by 21% of the more than 8,000 annual contacts. This action to enhance customer service has been received very positively by the real estate community. Recently, we presented the Employee Excellence Awards. The awards recognize outstanding employees who demonstrate excellent customer service, achieve great results on projects, and regularly go above and beyond their regular job duties. I just want to highlight our recipients this morning in case you see them. It would be great if you could congratulate them on their recent recognition. In financial services, we have Mike Rabb, our Central Services Supervisor, and Kendra Osborne, our Accounting Supervisor. In general services, we recognize Dwight Griffith, Broadband Technician, and Pete Iglesias, Paving Foreman. In human resources, Lucy Hernandez, HR Administrative Coordinator, was recognized. In landscaping services, Vincente Martinez, Section 1 Foreman, and George Porras, our Pest Control Foreman, were recognized. Jason Wynn, our Operations Coordinator, and Justin J. Allen, our Damage Restoration Manager, were recognized in maintenance and construction. In recreation, Laura Cabar-Rubius, our Senior Equestrian Supervisor, was recognized. Security recognized Roger Cowdrey, Security Supervisor 2, Jean Delhomme Chestnut, our Administrative Supervisor in Social Services, and Jacob Wanosto, our Compliance Coordinator. Again, please join us in congratulating these employees. And lastly, I want to announce that the Aliso Creek Trail Rehabilitation Project will take place next Wednesday, November 22nd, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. A portion of the Aliso Creek Trail will be closed between Avenida Sevilla and the Aliso Creek Bridge. Again, next Wednesday, November 22nd, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Trail users may access the trail via the parking areas through cul-de-sacs 12 and 60. And for additional information, you may contact VMS Project Manager Eric Sneekluth at 949-597-4625. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Siobhan. We'll move now to the consent calendar.
We
Paul?
actually do have a member comment, sorry.
Yes, okay.
Good morning, Dick Rader, 270D. I want to congratulate Siobhan and the staff for the excellent work they're doing on creating savings for us. But I did note that I think you said there was $300,000 in savings for health benefits. I was wondering why United only got $50,000 of it.
It's based on how the employees are allocated, Dick. So the overall savings is 300,000 and United shares 50,000.
So third would be getting...
They were about 45,000 and the rest was GRF.
Oh, thank you.
Video? Video?
I just had. Okay. My congratulations to all the VMS employees who were recently recognized. I had a question on, or a comment on the docent tours for the prospective residents. I've only been here a little less than 3 years. And to date, I have not been able to get a docent tour for myself. They've been canceled time after time after time. So my question is, where's the question of any savings if in the first place these tours have never taken place? That's number one. And number two is, I'm not in favor of digitizing these tours because Laguna Woods is a complicated place to get around. And I think that new residents here would definitely benefit from the actual tours if they were taken around and shown some of those things, me included. I'm waiting for the last 3 years.
Well, if I could respond, Director, we have several tours that have occurred on a monthly basis, and we'll make sure that you get included on a tour. And then I want to add that the docent tours are supplemented by new resident orientation, and that's where new residents really learn the ins and the outs, the policies and the procedures, and so forth. We really spend time, and especially your fellow counterparts on the board, educating our new residents about how life occurs in their particular mutual.
Well, I mean, I believe you when you say they occur every month, but I've myself signed up for 4 of these, and I get emails saying it's been canceled.
And again, I will look into that, but we will certainly get you on the next available docent tour, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else before we move on to consent calendar? Okay. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board in one motion. In the event that an item is removed from consent calendar by members of the board, such items will be the subject of further discussion and action. And we have 5 items on consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
I so move.
Second?
I so move.
Thank you. And all in favor? Okay, passed. Thank you. Unfinished business. First item is to entertain a motion to approve the lodger policy. This was a September initial notification that went on 28 days notice for members. Everybody's awake. Okay. Is that a yes or a no? Okay. At this time, do we have a motion to approve? Yes, Ellen? Sorry.
I will read the resolution
Please.
first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is page 27 of 28.
Item 11A.
12A. Wait a minute, 11A?
12A, sorry.
12A, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lodger room rental policy and application, whereas Civil Code 1946.5 defines the lodger as a person contracting with the owner of a dwelling unit for a room or room and board within the dwelling unit personally occupied by the owner, where the owner retains a right of access to all areas of the dwelling unit occupied by the lodger and has overall control of the dwelling unit And whereas in context here, in order to classify a guest tenant as a lodger, the shareholder must retain access to all areas of the dwelling unit and have overall control of the dwelling unit. Also, under Civil Code 1946.5, in order to remove a lodger from the dwelling unit, the shareholder must give the lodger a written termination notice, which is at least as long as the days between rent payments, not exceeding 30 days. Once the notice period expires, the shareholder can treat the lodger as a trespasser and have the lodger removed pursuant to the provisions of Section 602.3 of the Penal Code, i.e., guilty of an infraction, and may, pursuant to Section 837, be arrested for the offense of trespass, and wherein the United Mutual Board recognizes the need to adopt a lodger room rental policy and application to ensure compliance with Civil Code 4739 and United's and GRF's governing documents, now therefore be it resolved November 14th, 2023, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves and adopts the lodger room rental policy and application as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that officers and agents of the corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Second, thank you. Any discussion? Ellen?
Am I right, Maggie, that it was removed?
Put your microphone on, please.
Am I right that it was removed that the lodger has access to recreation or amenities?
No.
We had that discussion at the town hall, that would be discussed before this was brought forward. So they have access to the they'll get a recreation card.
Yes, according to the GRF bylaws, they do. So yes, we have to follow the GRF bylaws, and GRF is not changing that. So yes, they will have the rights of any renter in the village.
Are we counting them as a percentage of our allowable rentals?
No, they do not count against the rental percentage.
Are there any restrictions on the guest of the lodger?
It's in the policy. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, let me see. I circled some highlights. Let me see. There's only one lodger per unit permitted. The lodger needs to meet all our occupancy requirements. There is a thing about lodger guests.
Under occupancy?
Could be occupancy. With the consent, it is number 4 on page 12 of 28. At the bottom, number 4. With the consent of the member, a lodger may have a short-term guest.
Okay. Everything sounds so vague on this lodger policy to me. The shareholder must retain access to all areas of the dwelling. Retain access means key to me. Why can't it say the shareholder must be in possession and live in the unit?
The shareholder must live in the unit.
Where does
This is based upon it.
Okay.
This is it.
It says the shareholder.
That's what the law says.
Okay, but the resolution says the shareholder must retain access to all areas. To me, I have a key, I can have access.
The shareholder, the member must be residing
Okay.
in the unit
Can
at
we
the
change-
time and will have access to all areas. That is including the areas occupied by the lodger.
Can we change the wording on that and say reside?
Lodger, over an N on page 7 of 28. And let's see. Here, okay, well, let's go on number 1, purpose, on page 6 of 28. As you, Civil Code, this is the second line under purpose. Civil Code 1946.5 further authorizes members to rent out a room in their dwelling units to a lodger defined as a person contracting with the resident member of a dwelling unit for a room or room and board within the dwelling unit personally occupied by the resident member, where the resident member retains a right of access to all areas of the dwelling unit occupied by the lodger and has overall control of the dwelling unit. That is the law.
Okay.
Over on page 7 of 28, number N, lodger is a qualifying individual contracting with a member for a room or room and board within the dwelling unit personally occupied by the member, where the member retains a right of access to all the areas of the dwelling unit occupied by the lodger and has overall control of the dwelling unit. Only one lodger is permitted per unit. And on page 8 of 28, number 4.2, the very bottom line, this lodger room rental policy applies to only one lodger per unit. Page 9 of 28, the lodger shall meet the age requirements for occupancy and residency as required and established under United's governing documents and California Civil Code 51.3 and any successor statute. So they must comply with all our occupancy requirements, just like any other occupant in the village. They must fill out the entire thing and submit it.
Okay.
Nancy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to emphasize for the membership who didn't attend the town hall or is not present, but maybe watching on television or hear about it later. This policy, the lodger policy, is a function of the California State Legislature passing a law that says that we must allow lodgers. So this isn't something that the board came up with or VMS came up with, so that there's clarity for everyone. Simply stated that this resolution in essence is United complying with the California legislature.
Maggie?
Also,
Yes, and
Yes.
by this policy, by us restating all our occupancy requirements for any occupant, this enhances United's protection under this policy, and it enhances also the member who is leasing out the room so that they can, following these laws, evict a troublesome lodger. So this is why we need this. This re-clarifies and restates the law and adds in United's specific requirements as protection. And that is the reason we have to pass it. Basically, otherwise, we have to follow the state without these all being specified and signed by the lodger. We have Pam in the back if anyone wants.
Who's next? I believe you were Georgiana?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I have two questions. Do they undergo any kind of...
Is your microphone on?
Oh, move it closer. Okay, does that work? Okay. Yes, I have two questions. I don't remember if there was any kind of financial background check, but also there doesn't appear to be any kind of background check at all when you look under the occupancy, criminal or otherwise. And I don't know, I guess I'm not wild about this policy because it looks like a step of government trying to move us toward low-income housing. But I can't imagine them trying to get this in, say, a community in Beverly Hills. But anyway, but there's no background check. There's no provision for anything like that, is there? At least according to the occupancy, number one.
May I answer that?
Yes.
Would you please look at page 12 of 28, and it says it is required that members obtain both background and credit checks on the new lodger, as well as check references provided by the lodger to protect such members' interest. So it is, they are trying to make sure that this happens. We are trying to protect our property and our association. And that was the point of this. I served on the committee in the beginning phases of this. And then it was, it gets sticky when you then go to the person who is going to interview to have someone in their home. So they really need to create their own lease with them, and I would recommend a very stringent lease with them. I have friends who will no longer do this, who are realtors, because it's so problematic. So they really, I would encourage them to get their own attorney to try to protect themselves as well.
Ellen, thank you.
Thank you. The member draws the own background check then, not the village, not VMS? No. Is that correct? That sounds to me, leads us open to people coming in here that would not be desirable. Okay, and one more comment. RFDF ID on their cars, how many cars are allowed parking for one unit if the lodger has a guest? A 60-day guest, I guess that refers, because it says short-term guest. I guess 60 days is short-term, I don't know. Or is it one night? We're not clear on that. So you have the member that has one or two cars, you have the lodger that has one car, and a guest has another. So is there any limitations on the parking?
I don't think the agreement addressed parking, other than one bedroom, one car, 2 bedrooms, 2 cars, 3 bedrooms, 3 cars. That's the rule, the general rule of the village. Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As far as background checks go, in December this year, I'll be married 1 year.
Congratulations.
And when I got married, I had a background check. I had the background checked on my proposed wife, and I submitted it to VMS. So the background check has always been the burden of the people applying to get in. And I know in my case, I did it, got a background check on my wife, and submitted it to VMS. Thank you.
Okay. Who's next? Ellen?
Okay. You have a neighbor that has their family or son move in, and they're going to run a background check, but it doesn't matter. So their son can move in as long as he's 55, even if has a background, has challenges, legal challenges. So we're going to be bringing that kind of quality of tenant in the community.
Pamela Bashline, I see you're here. Pam, would you come forward maybe to help understand some of this? You know, we all know that we can't control what people do. what sort of things people get into and what they feel is acceptable. What we're doing in this document is protecting the interests of the mutual. Pamela? Question, who has a question for Pamela? Go ahead, Ellen.
There is no background check submitted to staff. The member who is inviting someone into his, her, or their home should perform that reference check, background check, credit check, all of the things that a reasonable person would do.
Is there a fee paid to VMS or to us? For the lodger? Because obviously they need to fill out an application and give it to us. Do they pay a fee?
They pay the same fee that a sublessee would pay
A renter.
to rent out the entire unit.
Does a sublessee have to have a background check?
I don't remember.
I believe so, but I don't have that at my fingertips.
Okay. So if you denied access to somebody a month ago because of a background check, because they went in it through the channels of being a caregiver for their parents, now they can come in as a lodger and be accepted because you're not running a background check.
Perhaps. These are, this is a brand-new law.
Yeah.
Effective January 1 of this year. This is a brand-new policy, which is
Yeah.
now 11 months delayed. So I think we'll need to establish some history and determine where the weak links are, if there are any, and how to remedy them.
So, excuse me, so the background check for the leasee, but not the lodger, but if we could do a background check, that might make everybody feel more comfortable as having a background check on this. Why did we eliminate a background check?
Because we were not stepping into the shoes of the member who theoretically, for financial purposes, is inviting someone into their home.
Mm-hmm.
They are responsible for the acts of their guests, invitees, contractors, etc., which is pretty standard throughout the village.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want to deviate from that unnecessarily.
I believe we're ready to call the vote if there are no more questions. In that case, I call the vote. Those in favor? Do you want to reread the motion?
I did already.
Okay, well,
So,
it's on your screen. Entertain a motion to approve the lodger policy, September notification. And we have had it moved, approved, seconded rather, and we're ready to vote. Those in favor, please touch your screen. Those against, please vote.
Pearl, can I have your vote, please?
Results of the vote, please.
Director Lee, can I have your vote, please?
Okay.
Director Lee, can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to mark her as absent.
Okay, thank you. Next,
You gotta push.
Oh, excuse me. I voted wrong.
Madam Chair.
yes?
May I request that the Governing Documents Committee look at the question that Ellen and Nancy and Georgina brought up to see if perhaps we should have more review and submit it to staff for review. I know it says that United shall have no liability with respect to any background check obtained, performed, or failure to conduct a background check. And I think the reason for that is that they can't police these private leases. So, but if you could come back with an explanation that might satisfy this, because right now we're doing the best we can under the time constraints we have.
right. This has been very carefully approved by the attorney, but we can certainly bring back a paragraph of explanation from him for the next meeting.
I think that's important because the town
Okay.
hall, that was a big
Right.
issue.
Thank you.
Point of order.
Thank you. We're moving forward now. Our next resolution, 12B, resolution regarding the alteration fee schedule. Maggie, would you read the resolution,
All right,
please?
this is page 11 of 14. It's a pink page.
12B. on your-
12B. Alteration fee schedule. Whereas alteration and variance requests require significant staff time for proper processing, including research, report preparation, presentation to the appropriate committee and the board, and whereas in order to offset a portion of the administrative costs associated with processing alteration applications, the board has adopted an alterations fee schedule. Whereas the attached revisions to the alteration fee schedule are recommended to be approved by the board, and whereas the new alteration fee schedule better aligns the fees with the administrative time it takes to process each task, now therefore be it resolved November 14, 2023, that the board hereby adopts the revised alteration fee schedule as attached to the official minutes of this meeting and this resolution, and resolve further that future revisions to the alteration fee schedule will be included with the annual assessment letter packet that the Finance Department issues every year in November under the Architectural Review Procedures section of the annual policy statement, and resolve further that Resolution 01-2314, adopted March 14, 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the resolution. I move this resolution.
Second? Okay, thank you. Discussion? Ready to vote? Please enter your vote then.
Pearl, can I have your vote, please? Director Lee? I'm going to mark her as absent.
Okay.
No, I want to.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Next, 12C, entertain a motion to approve revised electricity usage reimbursement policy. Item 12C in your sign book.
Right, this is page 7 of 8. It's a pink paper. Revised electricity usage reimbursement policy. So this is something we give back. Whereas the mutual has historically reimbursed members for electricity consumption related to the restoration of manors as a result of moisture intrusion, as well as for excess electricity consumed due to hot water supply line leaks. And whereas the mutual is interested in revising the current policy to reflect increases in electricity rates, now therefore be it resolved November 14, 2023, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the revised electricity usage reimbursement policy as follows. For moisture intrusion events where dry down of property is required, the mutual reimburse for electricity used based on the amount of money that the resident spent in excess electricity in the month of the event versus the average cost of the prior month and the month following the event. This average would be subtracted from the amount of the electricity bill for the month for the resident. The remainder would be the amount of reimbursement to the resident. For hot water leaks where excess electricity has been consumed, the mutual will reimburse for excess electricity consumption based on the same method used for moisture intrusion events. All reimbursements will be charged to the operating fund. Resolved further that Resolution 01-1833, adopted March 13, 2018, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second? Is there a second, please?
I second.
Snap the screen. Okay, discussion? We're ready to move this. Those in favor, please vote as on your screen. Okay. Okay.
Director Willis?
No problem.
Is voting concluded? Please vote. All right, thank you. Thank you. Motion passes. Next, resolution passes. Next, we have to entertain a motion to include non-emergency chargeable service for painting and alterations. This has been on 28-day notice. This is resolution number 12D. Maggie, will you please read?
This is page 7 of 10, it's pink. Resolution 0123XX, non-emergency maintenance chargeable services. Whereas the board has established a chargeable maintenance services policy, and whereas in 2017, the board amended the policy to establish a charge of $50 for a missed maintenance appointment to be charged to residents who are a no-show during the scheduled appointment time frame or do not cancel rescheduled 24 hours prior to their scheduled appointment. And whereas the board desires to amend, cross up the extra ED, to amend the policy further to include non-emergency maintenance chargeable services for painting of authorized member exterior alterations. Now, therefore, it be resolved November 14, 2023, that the Board of Directors hereby approves the attached new non-emergency maintenance chargeable services list, and resolve further that the existing service charge for all maintenance chargeable services shall remain $10, and resolve further the city permit processing fee for work that requires a City of Laguna Woods building permit if VMS pulls the permit shall remain in effect, and resolve further the $50 service charge for when the mutual member or representative is not home for a scheduled appointment and fails to cancel in advance shall remain in effect, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Is there a second?
Oh,
Go ahead. Is there a second? Thank you, Vidya. Okay, discussion? You see the attached schedule of charges and the chart that follows the resolution. Georgiana, you have a,
Yes, I just had a question. It looked like there was, okay, if you forget you have an appointment or something and you miss that, $50. But I was also looking at this list for the non-emergency chargeable services, and replacing a light bulb was $30 to $80. I mean, if I were called, I would do it for free. I mean, some people just have issues, they can't reach high, they have, arthritis or something like that. And this is not like we're in a commercial environment. We're paying salaries of people who are doing this. So I don't see why we're having these extra charges. It doesn't make sense to me. We're already paying the salary, so I guess, certain charges, obviously, they're going to be more cumbersome. But changing a light bulb, $30 to $80 just doesn't do it for me.
this is Ian Barnett at the podium. He's in charge of resident services. So go ahead, Ian, and if you would reply to Director Willis.
Good morning, thank you. Director, the $30 to $80 charge is not changed. That is from previous resolutions. The only change to this resolution is the exterior paint on exterior alteration painting at $15 a square foot. In United Mutual, the mutual does not pay for light bulbs for members. Those are considered a consumable item, and as such is on the member to replace those when they burn out. However, the boards years ago realized the need to help the residents whenever they needed that light bulb to be changed out. And so the $30 to $80 also includes the fee that's charged at the bottom, that $10 fee. That's an administrative fee that's charged for the time that is spent on the administrative side, getting the schedules together, all of that kind of stuff. So the $30 to $80 is really just about $20 worth of labor time.
Thank you. Anything else? Not, we will please vote on screen. Thank you, Ian. Okay.
Do you still want to take a member comment or no?
Oh, I think we're
too late.
You have to before a vote.
The vote already started when you went up there.
right. Maxine, did you want to comment on this? Thank you. Sorry, I didn't realize you had entered.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I hope I didn't sound rude.
That's all right.
I wanted to point out just a very personal thing that makes me support this with very few changes I would ever suggest. And that is we have the long tube lights, in our bathroom. Yeah. And my husband are getting pretty old to climb up on that. Step ladder used to be wonderful, But now even one step, we got to be sure we're hanging on to something. And we're just so grateful that staff will come in and they'll climb up, remove everything and put it in. And if the outside cover over that light is gone, they'll replace that. And I feel we're just being charged for the prices of the materials, really. Very reasonable, and it really helps us. I can't imagine living anywhere else and being able to have staff take care of that for a very nominal price.
Thank you. Okay. Vote is underway.
The motion passes?
Sorry?
The motion passed.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next resolution, we would entertain a motion to approve the resolution for herbicide spray guidelines and acknowledgement form. This is number 12E. If you will read it, please, Maggie.
Resolution 323XX, herbicide spray cessation guidelines. Whereas due to staffing levels and the proliferation of invasive kikuyu grass, the only practical way to control weeds in the shrub beds and turf edges is the use of herbicides. And whereas some members of the United Mutual have requested that staff not use herbicides in the shrub beds adjacent to the respective units, and whereas due to the increased labor associated with hand weeding shrub beds, residents requesting the cessation of herbicide application adjacent to their units should be responsible for the timely removal of weeds and maintenance of the turf edges at the shrub beds. And whereas said members of the United Mutual making such requests shall fill out and sign an agreement stating their intention and responsibility to perform the weeding and edging of the shrub beds, whereas the landscape department shall retain the responsibility for regular pruning of shrubs and the right to apply herbicides to turf areas, insecticides where necessary. Now therefore be it resolved November 14, 2023, the Board of Directors introduces the ability to request cessation of the herbicide applications in the shrub bed areas following the filing of a signed no herbicide agreement, and resolve further all responsibility of weeding and turf edging in the shrub beds shall become the responsibility of the requesting resident, and further resolved all other routine maintenance of the shrub beds shall remain the responsibility of the landscape department, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second? Second, please.
I second.
Thank you. Okay, comments? Go ahead.
I have some questions on this one.
Kurt is here.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. If we're talking about a 4-unit building and 1 unit wants no herbicide and the rest of the 3 want herbicides, does the one person win over the 3, or how does that go?
Oh, we will meet with the residents. Generally, the residents that are requesting this are ones that already do their own maintenance in the common area. So it's generally pretty much already delineated out there. So what we will do is the supervisor of the area will go and meet with the resident, walk the area, determine the area that they consider the part that they want to maintain, and then we will delineate just that area. So it won't go to the whole building. It will just be the area that is maintained by that one resident.
Okay, thank you.
Ellen?
So it says going forward, that they will have to take care of their own area. Is
Correct.
that going forward till the end of time?
Until the house changes hands.
Until the house changes hands?
Correct.
So somebody or they can withdraw that herbicide agreement?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, I think that should be clear. Thank you.
Anything else? Sue?
Yes, the neighbors can or others can say, my neighbor is no longer doing this, and it's an eyesore for the community. And then you would go back and speak with them, is that correct? And
Yes.
withdraw that.
It's in there that it's with notice, so we would go out and talk to them, remind them of their responsibility, and if they're unable to meet their responsibilities, we will then rescind the agreement and take over.
Okay, anything else for Kurt? Okay, let's proceed to vote then. There's no further.
I think we have one more.
Director Carlson, your vote, please. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to go through new business, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break before committee reports begin, just so you can know what's happening next. New business, town halls. Our next town hall is Friday, the 8th of December. Can't believe it's December already, but it is. And the proposed topic is a presentation from Bank of America Community Outreach staff on fraud that occurs particularly at this time of year. And it's about better money management. It's a rather generic program, but it may be helpful to a lot of our residents. Bear in mind the reason that Bank of America is given this opportunity is because they are our bank and have been our bank for the mutual and for the other mutual, and I think for GRF as well, for many, many years. And so they have a relationship with our community. And the idea that has come up in town halls previously is that some people want only question and answer, only a discussion. Some people really like the program, a brief program at the start, informative program of general interest, followed by Q&A. And that is really kind of what we're going to talk about at this point. If you have point of view that you want to bring forward, please do so. About, first of all, do we want to continue as we have been with a brief program of general interest at the start, followed by Q&A, or do we want to move to just all Q&A going forward? Anyone? Sue?
I really like having a program because I think it's educational for our members, and we try to do something that is on topic, that's of interest. I also think it's important, though, that you have time frames, that people know that it's going to be a half hour, 45 minutes of program, and then you stop, and then you go to the residents' questions, because sometimes people get really involved in the program, and then those that have been waiting to ask the questions are unhappy because they feel that their time is being impinged upon. So I think we should do both, but I do think we should have absolute start and stop times for the separate programs, so that other people who are not interested in a program may come and say, I know this is going to start at 2:45. I need to be there to ask my resident question at 2:45. And then they don't have to sit there for another half hour hoping that their turn comes up. So that would be my suggestion.
Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's occurred to me that with our previous town halls, it seems to me when we have a speaker on a hot topic that everybody's concerned about, that in itself seems to have some drawing power. So I like that format. Thank you.
Ellen? I'm sorry, Nancy?
I think that town halls are very important, and I think structure is what's called for at this point. And I think the subject matter is valuable, and the structure is that we need to ascertain a time frame. I'm in total agreement with Sue relative to that, so that people can plan their time. There's some people who may want to come just for Q&A, and some people who may want to come just principally for the topic. And also, I footnote this by saying we should submit a notice. We usually do in the Globe, and we do via email. And we need more members to have their emails on board for many reasons. And that our notice should include that all directors may be in attendance, because directors are members too, and this is subject matter. So it's not intended for directors to be doing business, so there's no breach of any rules of directors conducting a meeting for business purposes, but it is a town hall. But let's move to a structure.
Okay. Who's next? I think Maggie?
I agree with the two separate divisions, and we should make them clear. A lot of people do come just for the lecture, and they don't want to hear the other stuff. They don't want to hear any shouting. They don't want to hear anything else. They're not there for that. They're here for the interest. And so if we put the potty break in the middle, and we do, and then everybody comes back in the once, and then we devote it. I think that's very clear. As far as, what are the?
Attendance?
Board attendance. Our attorney has opined, I guess, 15 or 20 or 25 times on this, and he still says no. So I think we cannot move ahead pretending we know better than him. I think we must follow his advice as long as he is our attorney. The other corporations follow the advice of their attorneys, and we will follow the advice of ours. It is our safety. That way we can't be sued for disobeying anything. The HOA and the director D&O insurance will cover us if we're following his request. Thank you.
Sue?
If I may, I think we should discuss this again just briefly with Jeff. We have a closed session this afternoon, and we can ask him. But I wanted to ask him if all of the directors could just attend the program and then leave when it comes to the questioning, because that may have an effect on knowing what the issues are and presenting it. So perhaps that's something we could ask this afternoon.
Okay, thank you. If we have one more, Mickey?
Yes, I agree that we could have some specific topics, and also we need to open to the forum. I mean, everybody has their concerns, so we may try, and then we kind of take a look at and research what the attendance would be, and maybe we could sometimes, if there is any hot issue and people wants to discuss with it, maybe we could give a whole 2 hours for the question and answer. So I don't think it has to be kind of structured in a certain way and flexible, and try to look at all the needs of the resident, and from there we can find out what the better communication could be.
Okay, one more.
If I could, I would like to encourage people to go to the Resident Advisory Committee when they have these concerns. It's really helpful, and they certainly are welcome to come to the town halls and express their need. But if you go to the Resident Advisory Committee, it's currently run by Tony and by Pearl, and they will take you by the hand and go and visit the people who can assist you. So that's another good opportunity for people who feel like they need to be heard.
Thank you. We're going to move on now to...
Sorry.
Yes?
We do have one member comment on this.
All right. Please, Richard?
Hi, Dick Rader. I'm trying to recall, maybe somebody can help me, but I believe when you look at the committee agendas, it has a line that says additional board members may attend. Am I correct on that? And if so, why is it that the lawyer says you could do it here, but you can't do it there? It doesn't make sense.
Thank you for your comment.
I can answer that if you'd like, President Bach.
Sorry?
I can answer that if you would like,
Please,
President
yes,
Bach.
please
That is
do.
because we are adhering to the notice requirements as if that committee meeting was a full board meeting. We do not notice the town hall meetings as board meetings.
Okay. All right. With that, we shall go now to 13B. Entertain a motion to adopt the United 2024 Collections and Lien Enforcement Policy. And Maggie, would you read that, please? Our last pink page? No, not quite.
This is page 15 of 16. It is pink. Resolution 0123XX 2024 Collection and Lien Enforcement Policy. Whereas, in accordance with California Civil Code, United Laguna Woods Mutual maintains the collection and lien enforcement policy that outlines the procedures, policies, and practices employed by the mutual in enforcing lien rights or other legal remedies for default in payment of assessments. And whereas legal counsel has reviewed the existing collection and lien enforcement policy and determined that the policy complies with civil code requirements and reflects current practices for collection of mutual delinquencies. Now therefore be it resolved December 12, 2023, that the Board of Directors hereby adopts the 2024 United Laguna Woods Mutual Collection and Lien Enforcement Policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further the policy statement is provided pursuant to the requirements of California Civil Code Section 5310A7 and will be distributed to members in November 2023 as part of the annual policy statement. Resolved further that Resolution 01-2272, adopted November 8, 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled on the effective date of January 1, 2024. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second, please. Thank you.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, in that case, yes, Ellen?
Is this assessment, is this for closure, or is, well, I guess it is.
This is going on 28-day notice. This is the first time we're seeing this.
Okay, so the assessment, it says here, becomes delinquent 15 days. That's when this lien enforcement can take place?
Well, first of all, this resolution is starting its 28-day cycle
Right,
today.
okay, so that's my
So
discussion.
you have time over the next,
Okay.
to read through and, come up with issues and
Right.
questions and so
Right.
on. Okay. Anyone else? All right. We ready to vote? Please touch your screens. Okay.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item is 13C, entertain a motion to approve temporary borrowing. Maggie, would you read the resolution, please?
This is page 13C, 7 of 8. It's a pink page. Temporary borrowing, 0123XX. Whereas pursuant to Civil Code Section 5515, the Board of Directors may authorize the temporary transfer of monies from a reserve fund to an association's general operating fund to meet short-term cash flow requirements or other expenses. If the Board of Directors has provided notice of the intent to consider the transfer in a board meeting, notice provided pursuant to Section 4920, and whereas the notice required pursuant to Section 4920 has been provided in the agenda for this Board of Directors meeting, and whereas the corporation avoided interest and finance charges by prepaying 12 months of property insurance premiums in October 2023 for coverage period of October 2023 through September 2024, and whereas it has become necessary to temporarily transfer monies from the reserve fund to the operating fund to meet cash flow needs due to timing differences in when property insurance premiums are paid versus when they are collected from residents through monthly assessments, whereas the amount of funds needed to be transferred from the operating reserve fund to the reserve operating fund has been determined to be $3 million, and the repayment of such funds from the operating fund to the reserve fund is anticipated to be more than provided for by future property insurance premiums due and positive cash flow resulting from operations, and now therefore be it resolved that November 14, 2023, that the transfer of $3 million as a temporary transfer from the reserve fund to the operating fund for the reasons stated herein, and with the plan to repay no later than 1 year from this date, is hereby authorized, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second. Thank you. Discussion? Ellen?
Why haven't we made provisions where we can pay this back? I mean, do an assessment or do something where we can have the money available?
Well, there's never been an assessment, but
Okay.
Steve Hormuth is here to
Okay.
Assessments are not a good thing, popular
Well,
thing to do.
some form of paying it back so we don't have to keep borrowing every year.
We did. Go ahead.
Thank you. So President Box, member of the board, you already do include it in your normal monthly assessments, right? So your assessments collect 1/12 of the amount of insurance over the course of the year. So the insurance companies offer either you pay it all up front to the tune of about $5.3 million, or you can pay it over the course of the year at an interest rate of between 7 or 8%. So it doesn't make sense at that dollar amount to pay the interest charge because you have the money in the reserve fund. So in order to avoid those interest costs, you're basically borrowing from yourself, right? So the reserve fund, you could be collecting treasury bill interest on that to the tune of 5%. So it's a better value to borrow from that fund, negate the fact that you can collect 5% because you'd be paying between 7 or 8% to the insurance company. So this is just a matter of cash flow management and using the money that you already have. To your point, could you increase your assessments? So gross up your contingency fund by $7 million or about $5 million. That would be a choice of the board, but that's money out of everyone's pocket when you already have the money sitting in a different account. So again, this was brought forth to the Finance Committee on October 31st. It was proposed to move the money. Again, it was $5 million that was paid in October. At the moment, you have sufficient funds to where you only need $3 million to borrow from the reserve fund. Civil Code allows you, based upon what I've already included in the staff report, Civil Code allows you to borrow money from the reserve fund. This is nothing that's outside the ordinary. You do it on an annual basis for the same purpose for your property taxes as well, come April. But even though Civil Code allows you to do it in 12 months, we will pay it back as expeditiously as possible. We can provide a payment plan to accelerate that, but the best case scenario is allow staff to just manage your money. And what I don't want to do is be tied to paying the reserve fund back and not pay your vendors, right? So my goal is to make certain that whatever money you have available at the end of the month, I pay back as quickly as possible to the reserve fund. It's not anticipated to take more than 6 months because, again, you're collecting money on a monthly basis specifically for these property insurances. But again, I don't want to have to come between a decision where either I pay a vendor or I pay back the reserve fund. So this is what we do on a monthly basis.
How many years have we been doing this?
Borrowing from the property tax fund for the past 3 to 4 years, we've been doing this, from the reserve fund. You've only had to begin doing it for insurance because your insurance has ballooned over the past few years. It went from $2 million to $3 million to $5 million. So before you had enough funds on your day-to-day cash available to take care of this, but when it's been increasing at that exponential rate, you don't have the cash available.
Who's next? Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask a point of information. If this was discussed in the Finance Committee and they approved it, why shouldn't it have been on the consent calendar? That's my question. Thank you.
That's a good topic. I don't have an answer to that question.
Okay. Other comments? Georgiana?
Yes. It seems like first we borrow from the reserve fund to pay the property taxes, and then we borrow from the property tax assessments to repay the reserve fund. And then the next time it rolls around, we're in the same thing where we're borrowing $3 million or whatever. And staff assures us we'll have no special assessment or anything, but we have no reliable payment plan or repayment plan. And I think if we could develop something like that where we're paying it back in, we won't run into this every year.
To respond to that, so you will, unless you collect money from a contingency fund or increase your assessments for things like this, which that's not my recommendation. Again, you have the money, you're already collecting it. You have the option of financing over the course of the year through the insurance program. They allow that. That wouldn't be my recommendation because it's coming at an additional cost when you already have the money. It's up to the choice of the board in the future periods. But when this came up in prior to October, so leading up to that prepayment, I had a conversation with officers at that time, and it was their direction to just prepay it like you always have. Because why would you pay several $100,000 of finance fees? Again, I would not anticipate this changing unless the board directs staff to increase your assessments. But from a payment plan, once again, I already mentioned before that you could, but my already goal is to pay this down as quickly as possible, which we've always done.
Siobhan, you had a comment?
I just wanted to ask Steve a quick question. We prepay insurance to save money. Is that not
That
an
is
accurate
correct.
statement? You may want to expound
Thank
on
you.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I opened with that. But again, the reason why we do that in October is to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. Again, you don't have to follow that approach, but our goal is to be stewards of your money and make good financial decisions.
And we also pay our property tax on time so as to avoid a penalty for late payment of property tax. They have no sense of humor about that one. So we're moving money, like moving money from your savings account to your checking account and then refilling it as time goes on. And remember, we do not have a problem with people not paying their monthly assessments. It's like clockwork. People are very, very diligent about paying that monthly. We have fewer than 2 or 3, 5 maybe, on any given month, who for some reason haven't paid their monthly assessment, and then they catch up.
Sure.
So for this to go on is completely within the regulatory framework, and it's a way of avoiding higher costs of financing that we might ordinarily pay, otherwise pay, rather, I should say. Sue, you had?
I appreciate your bringing this question up.
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing this question up because it comes up often.
It does.
And this is an educational opportunity
Yeah.
for our board and for our residents to explain why this is done. It's the most cost-effective method that the staff has been able to come up with. And members do not want increased assessments when they can be avoided. So this is something that can be internally managed, but it needs to be understood. And I think you're asking those questions is appropriate, but I think there's a valid response as to why we do it. It saves us time and money.
Anything else from anybody? Paul?
We do have Dick Rader with member comment.
Okay.
I have a question for Steve. Steve, in the past, haven't you also indicated your intent to pay back by a certain date? He says yes.
So once again, Civil Code requires to pay it back within 1 year. Within the staff report, I included that states that's to be paid back within 1 year. With you're referring to when we've done it in the past for property taxes, and that's been a 2-month timing issue. So whereas with property insurance, you're paying 12 months in advance, right? And it's a significant dollar amount. So we will pay it back in an accelerated rate. We will not take full 12 months to repay this. Can I tell you when it's going to be paid back today? No, because different things take place during the course of the year.
Thank you.
If I may add, though, on a monthly basis, we provide financial statements, and you'll be able to see the progress towards repayment every month.
Yes. Nancy?
On paragraph 4 on the pink sheet, it has become necessary to temporarily transfer monies from the reserve fund to the operating fund to meet cash flow needs. Those cash flow needs are for funds other than the insurance payments.
That's correct.
So it sort of begs for somebody reading this a little confusing. I would probably to meet other cash flow needs or general operations cash flow needs, some definitive, because the code wants us to define what we're doing. And I stumbled on that. I'm pretty good on this legal stuff, but I stumbled on that paragraph a few times. Wait a minute, which is it? And so therefore, I mistakenly thought, well, did they mean avoided interest or is going to avoid interest being future? So I'm trying to distinguish that this is, we've already paid the money. We've already stolen the money from the reserve fund for the insurance payments. It's now before the board to get final approval, what the finance committee okayed.
So no money's been taken from the
And so I want to
reserve.
make it clear that we're saying it's for other cash flow needs, and it does say in paragraph 6 that we plan to repay this within 1 year. So you're covered on that. But my comment is I think we need to I would like to insert a definition of what the cash flow needs are, because it doesn't say what it is, and the code wants us to be specific.
So I included that in the staff report, so I provided a cash flow. So
But we're voting on a resolution. That's my point.
Well, the resolution doesn't have to explain all the facts that are in the staff report.
Do you understand why I raised that?
If I may, I want to be careful of our terminology. I don't approve of using the word stolen. I think that we absolutely need to make sure that the money is used appropriately. Nothing is stolen. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
All right, are we ready to vote this resolution? Please do.
Sorry. Who are we at minus?
Okay.
We need one more.
Director Liberatore, your vote, please. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to update committee assignments. Maggie, will you read the resolution, please? Just the changes, not the whole thing.
Okay. All right. Resolved, let's see, resolution, United Laguna Woods Mutual Committee appointments resolved November 14, 2023, that the following persons are hereby appointed to serve the corporation in the following capacities. I'll just read the people who are on the committee. Architectural Control and Standards, now Anthony Liberatore as chair, and Sue Kwam and Ellen Leonard as committee members. Finance Committee is Mickey Choi Ho, Chair, Tom Tuning, Allison Bach, Anthony Liberatore as alternate, and non-voting advisors, Robert Tucker, Eric Carlson, Ken Benson. Governing Documents Review Committee, Maggie Blackwell, Chair, Vidya Kale, Nancy Carlson, Tom Tuning, alternate. Non-voting advisors, Dick Rader, Juanita Skillman, Mary Stone. Landscape Committee, Sue Kwam, Chair, Anthony Liberatore, Georgina Willis, Vidya Kale, alternate. Non-voting advisors, Ann Beltran, Mary Sinclair. Landscape Tree Ad Hoc, Sue Kwam, Chair, Georgiana Willis. Non-voting advisors, Cheryl Nielsen, Mary Sinclair, Ken Benson, Jack Salvador, Carl Randazzo, Robert Reyes. Maintenance and Construction Committee, Allison Bach, Chair, Pearl Lee, Mickey Choi Ho, Ellen Leonard. Member Hearings Committee, Pearl Lee, Chair, Maggie Blackwell, Nancy Carlson, Vidya Kale, alternate, Allison Bach, alternate, Georgiana Willis, alternate. New Resident Orientation, Allison Bach, Chair, Pearl Lee, Anthony Liberatore. Resident Advisory Committee, Anthony Liberatore, Chair, Pearl Lee. Resolved further that all directors are considered alternate members of each committee. Each alternate may serve as a substitute for another director that is unable to attend a meeting substitute. Committee member alternates cannot substitute for more than 2 consecutive meetings. This will allow any director to ask any other director to sit in their stead during a temporary absence or unavailability. Of course, we can modify the structure in any way the board feels best. However, the concept is that the board in advance will approve any director sitting on a committee on a temporary basis when necessary to fill in for another director. Resolved further resolution 012338, adopted July 11, 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled. Resolved further, the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second? Okay. Discussion? Sue?
I move an amendment to the Maintenance and Construction Committee. Mickey Choi Ho is the alternate, and we just need to put that behind her name.
Yeah, I second for that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Well, I would ask you to vote, please, on this resolution.
Point of information, what are we
Yes.
voting on, an amendment? Or
The amendment.
Oh, amendment? Yeah, okay, the amendment. All in favor?
Motion passes.
And now the resolution in its body.
We need one more.
All right. So this is the Golden Rain Foundation.
Point of order?
Wait,
Anthony?
I have a question.
Yeah.
A point of information. The Landscape Tree Ad Hoc Committee, that's not a standing committee. I'd like to know when that's going to end or what their purpose of existence is.
Right. Sue, that's your committee.
Yes, the committee has completed their work. We will have one final meeting to approve the report, the DUDAC report, and then the committee will no longer be meeting.
Thank you.
All right. And, go ahead. Maggie? Are we ready for the next resolution?
Yeah,
or do
we're
we-
still going to vote on the original
Oh,
motion.
Okay,
Yeah,
we need to go
right.
back and vote on the body of the first resolution.
Right.
Amendment is passed, adding Mickey as an alternate, and now we will vote the main resolution that Maggie just read. So, and
Motion passes.
thank you. Next resolution, Golden Rain Foundation Committee appointments. By the way, this has already been passed at Golden Rain Foundation this past week.
okay, Golden Rain Foundation Committee appointments, Resolution 0123XX. Resolved November 14, 2023, that in compliance with Article 7, Section 7.3 of the Golden Rain Foundation bylaws, adopted September 29, 2014, the following persons are hereby appointed to serve on the committees of the Golden Rain Foundation. GRF CAC is Sue Quam and Ellen Leonard. GRF Finance, Tom Tuning and Mickey Choi Ho. GRF Landscape is Sue Quam and Anthony Liberatore. GRF Maintenance and Construction is Allison Bach, Pearl Lee. Clubhouses and Facilities Renovation Ad Hoc, Anthony Liberatore, Allison Bach. GRF Media and Communications Committee, Maggie Blackwell and Georgiana Willis. GRF Mobility and Vehicles Committee, Allison Bach and Nancy Carlson. GRF Security and Community Access, Maggie Blackwell and Nancy Carlson. Disaster Preparedness Task Force, Anthony Liberatore and Georgiana Willis. Laguna Woods Village Traffic Hearings, Vidya Kale and Maggie Blackwell. Purchasing Ad Hoc Committee, Tom Tuning and Allison Bach. Information Technology Advisory Committee, Sue Quam and Tom Tuning. Broadband Ad Hoc Committee, Allison Bach, Sue Quam and Tom Tuning, Allison Bach non-voting. Website Ad Hoc Committee, Anthony Liberatore, Mickey Choi. Ho. Compliance Ad Hoc Committee, which has been dissolved as no longer needed. It's accomplished its task. Maggie Blackwell and Pearl Lee were on it. Finance Advisory Group, Tom Tuning. Space Planning Ad Hoc Committee, Allison Bach, Tom Tuning, and Nancy Carlson. Resolved further that Resolution 01-2339, adopted July 11, 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second, please.
Second.
Anyone? Second? Thank you. Okay, discussion, questions?
I have one
Yes, yes.
Because JLF committee has already approved it for the construction and maintenance and construction. Mr. Choi Hall is alternate, so it's been already approved by the JLF committee.
So on GRF maintenance construction, that's on the first page, yes? So
Yes.
we need to add Mickey as alternate?
Alternate, right.
Okay. Any objections?
It's a motion. Is there a second?
I
To
second.
the amendment?
As amended.
Okay, we shall vote on that amendment before we vote the resolution. Amendment being that Mickey Choi Ho has been added to GRF maintenance and construction.
The amended motion passes.
All right, now we will vote the main body of the resolution, the GRF committee appointments.
I second.
That's, okay, that's been seconded already. We will vote that.
Give me just 1 second to fix this.
Point of information, GRF did distribute to me, you probably all got them, the new committee assignments. You're not on it as an alternate, so you might want to let them know to add that.
Okay.
Okay, please vote the screen.
Director Liberatore, your vote, please.
Tony, would you vote, please?
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you. Okay. With that, we know.
Madam President, excuse me, is this the time where I can propose a motion?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'd like to.
Paul, excuse me.
I believe we already approved the agenda initially, so I think
Right.
this is better off if we add it to the agenda prep meeting for,
Okay.
yeah, for next
All right.
time.
Did you get that?
I got it at the agenda prep meeting, but this was to be on the agenda prep meeting on this agenda, what I want to propose.
No, agenda prep meeting was.
I know
10 days ago.
when the agenda prep meeting is, but I thought that this was going to be on the agenda originally for today.
The point of order,
No, it
Madam
wasn't.
President.
Yeah.
Despite this miscommunication, the agenda has been approved, and as Paul says, to change it would be a violation. We'd have to go through a whole process to change the agenda because it's been approved and accepted. Thank you.
Okay, so it'll be on the next,
Providing you
at the
bring it
next
up in
agenda
agenda prep
prep.
and it's approved as a topic that we want to discuss and are in a position to discuss.
Right.
Okay, and now member comments.
Maybe we have a break.
Well, do we want to do, okay, question, you can leave, of course, at any time that you need to, but. At this time, we can either press through, we'll do director comments, but we can press through with committee reports and hopefully get our lunch by 12:30, 12:45, or take a brief break and then continue on with committee reports.
Brief
Committee
break.
reports are fairly brief.
Brief, 2 minutes.
Okay, all right. So we'll continue now with director comments. And let's start at this end of the horseshoe. Vidya, anything from you?
Not really. I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. Mickey?
Oh, yeah, just borrowing thing, you know, as a committee chair and I as a new treasurer and committee chair, I've been studying a lot about this issue because the word borrowing is not very good. So I've been researching and I've been asking other, the condominium complex, how did they do it? But mostly they just have some special assessment, which means that we have to increase our fees. So I think that we came to the conclusion that is the best solution as of now, unless we have somebody who could donate $5 million to us.
That would be wonderful. Anthony? Okay, Nancy? Georgiana? Ellen?
I've not been to any meetings.
Okay, what's your pleasure, ladies and gentlemen? Shall we press on with committee reports or take a break and come back?
And how long?
Okay, okay, let's take 5 minutes then. first committee report is the one we love to see in the black, and that's our treasurer's report. Nikki?
Okay. Hi. Finance Committee met on October 31st, and her report has been attached, item number 15A, and the page attached about monthly resale and leasing report. You can just take a look at. But in terms of treasurer's report, we have some slides, and then slide 1 shows that through the reporting period of September 30, 2023, total revenue for United was $38,578,000 compared to expense of $38,901,000, resulting in net expense of $323,000 in red, right? And then slide 2, in finance, we keep a close eye on the operating portion of our financial result. The operating fund without depreciation shows an operating surplus of $482,000 through the reporting period. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into operation, with $17,788,000 coming from assessments and $1,083,000 coming from non-assessment revenue. This is compared to operating expenditure of $18,389,000 without depreciation. And then next slide 3 shows this chart takes the full income statement and compares those results to budget. We can see that United ended the period better than budget by $968,000 when combining both operating and reserve savings. So far, so good, right? And the next slide 4, the most significant variance from budget were attributable to the following. Number 1, employee compensations, $1,373,000. Its favorable variance resulted primarily in the landscape and maintenance and construction departments due to open positions. Impacted areas include grounds maintenance, irrigation and tree maintenance, plumbing, paint, and interior components. Recruitment is in progress to fill in current open positions. In grounds maintenance, contracted shrub bed maintenance to outside vendors for the pruning, weeding cycle as they continue to fill open positions. And then second one is investment income, which is $388,000 in favor. It is favorable variance resulted from higher rates of return received on Treasury bill and city investment than anticipated at the time of budget preparation, which is great news. And then outside service, $633,000 unfavorable variance in maintenance and construction again, and landscape due to the timing of the waste line remediation program compared to its budget spread and more moisture intrusion events caused by rain than anticipated at the time of budget preparation. Landscape has contracted shrub bed maintenance to outside vendors as they continue to fill open positions. These amounts are partially offset by a favorable variance in exterior repair and dry rot repair operations. And second in red is materials and supplies, $224,000. Unfavorable variance result from more materials being used within the mutual, specifically from more appliance and fixture replacements, and then anticipate at the time of budget. Affected areas include water heaters, ovens, cooktops, and dishwashers. Actually, I calculate those numbers, and it's about 90% of our whole spectrum of financial report is presented here. And then slide 5, it's a PIEs, more specific financial report and expenditures, basically. On this pie chart, we show non-assessment revenues earned to date of $1,584,000, and revenue is organized by categories. And starting with our largest revenue generating category is investment income, 32%, followed by fee and charges, about 29%, and laundry, 11%, and leasing process fees, resale processing fee, and so forth. And then next slide shows the expenses to date of $38 million, almost $902,000, showing that our largest categories of expenses are employee compensation and property tax, about 26%, same numbers, followed by outside services, utilities, insurance, materials and supplies, and so forth. So, and then upper right corner, we show breakout of the utility category, sewers and then water, so on. And then the next slide, 7. On this slide, we see those same expenses, excluding property tax. The first one, the previous one was including property tax, but this is excluding property tax of $28,743,000. So if you look at that, the largest one is, again, the employee compensation, and then outsourced services, and so on, right? Slide 8. Let's go on to next one. Our fund balances are shown here. The contingency fund balance on September 30th, 2023 was $1,107,000, and contributions collected totaled $57,000 with no expenditures to date. And the reserve fund balance on September 30th was $15,863,000. Contributions and investment revenue collected totaled $9,392,000, while expenditures were $10,239,000. Next slide. We compare this to historical fund balances for the past 5 years on the chart, which have averaged $18.9 million. And then I look at all the financial, the blue books, and then it will go down until 2027 because we set up the reserve fund like that. And then from then on, we recover. I believe every year about $15 raise, increasing each year by either calculation, right? Okay, so we are low. So, you know, I saw the chart and it was a lower than average. It's like, ooh, but it's been set it up that way. We decided to do that. Okay, and let's go to final slide 10, excuse me. We have a slide here to show resale history from 2021 through 2023. Through September 30 again, United resale total 284, which is about 84 resale lower than the prior year, last year, for the same time period. And the average year-to-date resale price for United Mutual Manor was about $400,000, which is $4,000 more than the prior year for the same time period. So that explains the most recent report, financial report. And our committee report, agenda item 15A, page 3 has monthly resale report on your agenda. And then monthly leasing report is attached down there. So we have leasing total this year is much higher than the last year, I believe, and percent lease value is about 12% around there. And I was told that we can lease up to 25%. All right, and then the final page 304, monthly resale report. Page there, and then let's see, page 44, active leasing report again. The first one was period 9, month of September, and then 3-4 is a month of October, I think, right? Okay, that's all the report I have. Any question? Steve is right there, so okay. Alan?
How much have we collected from the backlog of chargeable services?
Steve, please help.
So we've only begun, I want to say less than $500,000 as of right now. And then, but when we budgeted and we began this process, we anticipated collecting of the entire backlog. I believe 25% was going to be collected in 2023, and the balance is going to be collected in 2024.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple of questions. Steve, will you stay up here for just a second? If you would. If we could go back to page 4 of the chart on the financial report, and it showed employee compensation, investment income. We're doing great there. On the outside services, it says it's unfavorable by $663,000. What's happening there?
Sure. As Director Choi Ho had mentioned, it's a combination of both M&C spending. Given the fact that you're seeing savings within your employee compensation, because we're down on certain staffs in areas, it's being compensated by outside services.
Oh, okay.
So that's part of it. We also had some additional damage restoration work that was performed that's increasing those costs that were unanticipated, partly because the extreme rainfall that we had in Q1.
Okay, so it's balanced. We're not down that money. It's
Correct.
coming from the employee compensation fund?
Correct. So when we create our budget, we anticipate to be fully staffed, right? So, and then when we are unable to fill those positions, you use outsider services to make certain the work gets done.
Okay, I have a couple more, if it's okay. I wanted to ask on this, on the monthly resale report, and that's on page 1 of 4, agenda item 15A. It's a monthly resale report, and we're down 27.7. That's about 30%. So is this because, I know we're guessing, but is this because of rates, and how does this compare with Third? Are we marketable next to Third?
Forgive me, I don't have Third's information in front of me, nor do I recall off the top of my head how you're performing. But it's a combination of multiple factors, and this isn't something that I came up with, but I've heard from other mutuals, GRF, I believe it was mentioned in one of your United meetings. It has to do with low inventory as well. It's not that you potentially are in trouble, it's just that to live here is cheaper than potentially is to live in neighboring communities.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of individuals would choose to live here as opposed to move out and pay more elsewhere. So in addition to that, of course, you have higher interest rates there, making it difficult to buy in. However, for the most part, people pay cash to move in anyways.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Steve. This is an easy one. You don't have a crystal ball, But looking at the deficit we had for the outside services, and it was attributed, a lot of it had to do with water intrusion events and so on and so forth. We're seeing also infrastructure issues relative to the plumbing lines and excavation of all that. I don't know to what extent your office is, I don't want to say on top of it, but is involved in what is currently out there pending and what the impact of this next year, because we're going to be moving into the rainy season, so we may have a backlog on doing restorative or remediation work for some things, but also we're at that point in time in history where the infrastructure issues are becoming bigger.
Sure.
Is there something going on in your office with respect to what that looks like, if you can prognosticate that at all?
I mean, collectively, VMS has a plan, but I would encourage that question to be addressed to Manuel Gomez, who can tell you exactly what's going to be done.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Thank you very much, Becky. Next report is architectural controls. Tony?
Thank you, Madam President. We haven't had any requests for alterations, so to save time, staff time, and money, we haven't had meetings. However, this Thursday, we're going to have an architectural control meeting, and it might be interesting to some because we have no request for alterations, but we are going to discuss architectural standards 618 and other standards, which for some people are hard to find on our internet, but at that time I'll help them find these things, and that's what's going to be discussed, and it's this Thursday, 9:30 here in the boardroom. Thank you.
Pearl, if you were here, member hearings? If not, Nancy, you were at that meeting, last meeting, remembering
For
that
the
all
member
this is
hearings?
confidential? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Maggie, you were?
Right.
Well, I was there for all of it.
We did about 40, I think, altogether. And some of them came, some of them deferred. We discussed with them. But those notices are not yet income, and they will be future income for United. Recuperation of costs is what it really is. And so it's the list is long, and we're reading through it, and it's very interesting. And get HO6 insurance, please, everybody, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Governing docs? Maggie, governing docs is next too.
Oh, yes, okay.
Oh, Nancy, did you have a comment about member hearings?
Yeah, I just wanted to footnote it. At that meeting, we really started to commence telling everybody that how important the HO6 is critical, and we felt that it probably behooves us to put it in your newsletter.
Again and again.
And e-blessed.
Yes.
And with the definition for people, again, that you may have bought a unit and you think everything's covered, but it may have been an alteration done some time ago. So I'm happy to wordsmith that for you so that you can do an insert in there because it's really relevant. And the second thing is I was doing some quick research, like I would like to be able to say what the average industry is for California HO6 insurance, like if you want to cover it $50,000, $60,000, and it looked like what I found so far was only like $47 a month.
It's cheap, I know.
For $60,000 to $75,000 of coverage, which would have taken all of these people off the books, would have helped them. So I
Thank
think
you.
that's a newsletter insertion item, and it's an important thing we can't stress enough.
Over and over again.
Over and
Georgiana?
over.
Yes, one thing related to that was when the deductible went up, I changed insurance companies. I raised what my deductible was with my current one, but they would only go to a certain point. And so I think when we heard it would be $50,000, I switched to AAA insurance, which was willing to go up to where I wanted to go. So in case you've got an insurance company and you want to decrease the deductible, so you're covered maybe for the first $50,000, then AAA is doing it, and they're doing it at a reasonable cost.
Right.
So
Always best to bundle if you can.
Yeah.
And always best to investigate. Okay, for governing docs, we had Nancy Carlson was there her first time, and she was very welcome. We had a good meeting. We discussed director's liability, D&O insurance, and we elected a future training in closed session to prevent future liabilities. We also, I'd like to add to our minutes there, we said that members were to amend the number 5 on the committee agendas, member comments, because the board member comments sheet on the front page of the open forum reads differently from the committees, and we need to find one that is respectful for the committees, and that will be on our next agenda, which is next week, November 16th at 1:30. So we will be discussing the agenda insertion for member comments on the committee meetings, because that needs to be corrected for committees so that it's more informative to the residents. Thank you.
Landscaping, Sue?
Yes, a landscape. We are going to meet on December 11th, and we encourage anyone with landscape issues to please come. And we will, welcome your input.
Okay. Maintenance and construction, an important committee because it's a very big budget that backs this. We, of course, have the usual complaints to run through about drainage, sewers, plumbing, et cetera. And the laundry rooms, of course, a big discussion item. And we had, once again, an item to cover from a resident who's been before us many times before about rain coming down from what she considers as an improperly installed gutter. So there was a discussion about that one. And we are looking for the future to see if there's a way that we can compensate or cost share an incentive program with owners who upgrade pipes when they're doing an alteration, and perhaps give them some benefit because they're helping us with what would otherwise be a community expense. We're planning to meet the December 27th, but I really doubt it, being a day after the Christmas break. So that's pretty much it. Advisory committee?
Thank you, Madam President. We didn't have a meeting this month, and it's a good committee for people to come. And we have it in the Elm Room where we don't have any limitations on speaking, so invite everybody to be there. And our next meeting is December 14th at 4 p.m. in the Elm Room. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see.
Allison,
I'm sorry.
it's speaking out of turn, but for the governing documents, that meeting on the 16th has been canceled.
No, we reinstated it. Oh. It was only canceled for half a day.
Oh, I'm looking at my emails.
No such luck, right? Okay. JRF Finance, Tom Tuning, were you?
Tom is stepped out, so he want me to make announcement tomorrow. JRF Finance meeting is happening in the afternoon, I believe, 1:30 p.m. here. The issue is increasing room rental fee, so attendance is encouraged. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Maggie, CAC?
Okay. Yes. We met and we approved the Recreation Department. I mean, if you want to know what's going on, this is a huge report that they give us every time. We have, we added CAC on the financial statement. The driving range is finished, hallelujah, and many golfers are celebrating. They had a brief ceremony at 8 o'clock in the morning, which was too early for me, but I was there. Good. So that is a big relief, and apparently all the requirements were finally met and everything should be good. The outlook is rosy. The tennis people, people in the recreation department, clubs, tennis clubs and so on, the players are kind of setting together, and sometimes they're making their own rules, which are not quite fair to everyone. And so GRF is getting a little bit involved with some of those without trying to interfere too much. So if you have a question about how you can play when you can play, you can always come to CAC, because they're working on that constantly to try and make our amenities accessible to all residents at various times, and ensure that everybody who wants to play can play, though they may not be able to play at the precise perfect time, which is probably Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. So they're working on that still, but it's coming along. The recreation rules are just about ready to be approved. Thank you. Our next meeting is Thursday, November 9th. That was...
Okay, GRF Landscape, Sue?
Yes, we had a really good presentation by the El Toro Water District, and our water costs are very significant. And so we are trying to figure out how to minimize our water usage, and just really try to get a handle on this. The rates are going to continue to go up. There was legislation that was passed that says that we have to use reclaimed water in the future. I think it starts in 2029, which is going to be here before you know it. And we currently have no access to reclaimed water. So what are we going to use? What are we going to do? So these are things that we have to study and get a handle on as we go forward.
Doesn't Third Mutual have their own water supply? Couldn't we do a private thing like they are?
You know, I am not an expert on this. My understanding is that we can't tunnel the limited water that they have over to our side, because it would have to go under
Okay, so there's nothing
Toro, the road. And so they've looked at that, but so far, no luck.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's something to continue to investigate and see.
Okay.
Okay.
Question?
Yes.
I don't know if you have the answer to this. Have they ever raised the issue of wells, testing for wells to see if there's a water supply?
I don't know the answer
I'm from
to
Colorado, and that's the first thing you do with the property.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, let's keep to our report so we can get out in this.
Thank you.
Oh, it's still the 14th of November. The next report, I guess, would be mine on M&C for GRF. This meeting was really a lot of small items that you've seen before and have been solved. One of the important things that we did was we finally approved a backup generator for the shop and the security people. So that was only about a $10,000 item, but it seemed to have taken $200,000 worth of work to get to that decision. But we finally did get that done. There's a bit of a question about white elephant style gifts. Someone wanted to donate some equipment to the equestrian center, and while the gift was greatly appreciated, the price of supporting that gift in terms of work that had to be done to install the fans and so on was 2 or 3 times the value of the gift. So, you know, sometimes gifts have a bigger price tag than you would think. This committee is a very interesting committee in that a lot of what they do becomes visible very quickly, and it benefits people throughout the community. So I'm glad to be on it, and if you're involved, come to visit and observe if you have a chance. So let's see, media and communications, Sue?
Yes, that met The next meeting is November 20th. I don't think we need to go over what happened in the past.
All right.
I just want to comment on this again. If one goes to any calendar section and prints off the agenda for media and communications, one will find out all the ways the mutuals and the corporations contact the people. You will never see it anywhere else. All of those ways, it's just incredible. It's pages and pages and pages of contact. So if you want to really know what efforts we are making to contact members, go to an agenda of the Media and Communications Committee meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Mobility and vehicles, that's me. The notes in your binders or in your package of materials is from the August 2nd meeting, but we actually did meet earlier or last week one day. And there is this shopping program, Destination Shopping, that charges $10 for a ride to and from Irvine Center and other shopping meccas. It's getting very low use. I think fewer than 10 people used it in the report that Robert Carroll gave. So again, transportation is one of those high budget items that, in my view, needs to have some research done on it. We did have a bit of success in terms of withdrawing $370,000 worth of allocations from reserve for transportation for further study. And that is one of those 9 passenger buses and 3 security vehicles that we felt needed to be more considered in more depth, rather than to just write a check for $370,000 for those 2 transportation categories. So we shall see what happens there. Security and access, Maggie, you again, huh? And then traffic hearings.
Right, okay, yes. Oh, yes, we went, this was August 23rd, and we had another one, I believe, since then. This is, people, at the last one, we had a demonstration of all that security does, and I think we will publish that somewhere for you to read. It tells what security does for you, what contacts to make, and so on, and that was very interesting. Let's see, we have some new people working there, and they introduced them. The motion sensor, the flashing lights are they're still up for another couple of months, and then we'll evaluate. In fact, someone suggested having them on only at night, and that seems to be, to me, the time when people most complain about them, so I'm not sure what we will do about that, but that's still on it. We have a lot of people who are unfortunately running stop signs. We have a fair amount of people exceeding the speed limits. We are a senior village. Nobody can move very fast, but some people drive very fast. So one needs to keep that in mind. I was amazed to learn that the new painting that we have done inside Gate 2 is already washing away because it has to be now a biodegradable product. Well, when you put that on the roadside, that isn't going to last as long or be as bright as the others. So that may be a different whole approach for us. We're going to have to repaint due to the type of paint that is required. Well, that would become an interesting problem for us, but yet we need that paint to be very distinct. But so that's something in the future. But we have had very interesting reports. Thank you.
Disaster prep, Tony?
Thank you, Madam President. This is a task force, it's not a committee. It's headed up by Eric Nunes, the head of our security department. And we discussed possibilities and how we're going to handle disaster. And they always go around the horn to ask what the various mutuals have any questions. And I've never had anything from this board to offer at this disaster preparedness. So if you do have some concerns, please let me know, and I'll be glad to have it. And our next meeting for disaster preparedness will be here in this room on November the 28th, 9:30. And it's a good just to stop by to see what you, at least think about what you're going to do when the big one comes, or a fire or something like that. That's all I have. Thank you.
May I? Yeah, just, Tony, I'll look for an article in the Globe. It was a letter to the editor by one of the people who works at Clubhouse 3, and they did have concerns. And so, perhaps I'll get that to you so you can look at it and see whether they have been addressed or not.
Sue on IT?
Yes. The ERP, the Enterprise Resource Plan program is coming along. They're doing a great job, and I won't take the committee's time, but they are working on this. They're working on the systems. It's old data that they've had to update, old systems that they've had to update. So it's taking a bit longer than what they had anticipated, but they are making good progress.
Okay, future agenda items. We have coming up next month, the 28-day, after 28-day review, the collections and lien enforcement policy. And then anything else that we decide in agenda prep that we want to put on that agenda for December. At this time, then, we will recess if there's nothing further from y'all, and have some lunch. Closed session to follow. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Madam President, what time did you want to reconvene?
Sorry?
What time did you want to reconvene?